I did not realize. I kept wondering what these little things were. Hello, crafty friends. It's Sue, and I'm back with another video. And I've got some new molds I want to share here with you guys so you can take a look at what I've recently purchased and what we're going to maybe be making in the next couple of videos. So I have some really interesting new snowflake molds for Christmas tree ornaments. And they're really kind of cool, and I'm excited to use them. They're puffy, so they're three-dimensional, obviously, since it's resin. I don't know why I said that. But you can see they're really neat looking. This one is very similar to another mold that I already have, so I won't be using this because I've done these in the past. But then we have a much bigger one here, and that one's super fun. You can see how shiny that'll probably turn out based on the inside of the mold. Another duplicate one that I've already got. Then we have this really fun looking one. I'm excited to use this one. And then the last one that's kind of puffy like those other ones is this one that looks kind of like a flower, but it's obviously a star and it's made to be an ornament. So I'm very excited about these. So before I get into the other molds that I've bought, I just want to say welcome to you. If you're a first-time viewer, welcome to our family here. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for returning. I hope you enjoy these videos as we get into the last week before Christmas. So we're going to work on some of these ornaments today, but in the upcoming video, just to give you a kind of sneak peek, I got these fun molds that make like village houses, and I'm really interested to see how they work and how they turn out. I'm not 100% sure exactly how they work. I've got cat hair all over them apparently because they've been sitting here for a second. But anyway, I'm not 100% sure how they work. I have seen a video on the Let's Resin site, because these are Let's Resin molds, that talk about how these work. Are these Let's Resin molds? Now that I say that, I don't think they are. I think I purchased them from Amazon. Anyway, I'll put the link down below so you know where I got them from. In any case, what I'm trying to say is that these molds, they were using plaster. So like an aqua cast or something of that effect. And I don't necessarily want to do that. And I think the reason that they were using plaster is because there is a place to put a tea light inside of them so that they will glow, which is really cool. However, I think we can make it a little bit more interesting by using some resin. So this will be the next video that we do. So I have this cute little one that's got snowflakes all over it and one that has stars all over it. So that'll be in the upcoming video. And then a while back, I purchased these alcohol inks from Let's Resin, and they are metallic alcohol inks. And I thought it was really interesting to get a metallic kind of feel from the inks themselves. And there are a lot of colors in here, and they vary from things like copper to a pearlescent white. And there's a couple of like reds in here, like this one. But for the most part, they're just variations on like gold and copper and silver. And get it out of the box. Here's a metallic black. So I thought we'd try some of these out in our snowflakes. So for our snowflakes, we're going to do one with the metallic alcohol inks. We're going to do one with some type of glitter. Haven't really determined yet what kind I want to use, but it will be some kind of glitter. And then we're going to do another one with these iridescent flakes. And I know I've done these in the past, but I wanted to try these new molds with that to see how they turned out. So give me a second to get myself my gloves on and get my resin mixed up, and we'll be right back. Alrighty, so I've mixed up my resin. I made 6 ounces in this bigger cup, And I've poured some of it into this smaller cup here. And now we're going to add our first ingredient. And I think since I'm so excited to try out some of these alcohol inks, that I'm going to add one of them. And I'm trying to decide which one I want to add, and I can't. So there's this pretty one. It's called Olive Gold. And it's kind of a greeny gold. So maybe we'll give that one a shot. I want to mix it up really well. Okay. Put a few drops in. Okay. So let's put a few drops in here. And we'll see how that goes. Some of this extra ink off my fingers. And I just realized my lights aren't on. Turn these on, make it a little bit brighter. It's daytime, but I want to be able to see. Now, because this is alcohol ink, it's not going to be opaque, but I do want that color coming through. So I'm going to put a little bit more in. I probably put somewhere between 10 and 15 drops in here at this moment. If you wanted to know, how's everyone doing out there? Is everybody ready for Christmas? I'm getting there. All right. So we've mixed that up. And it's almost got the kind of the feel of mica powder a little bit. So let's pour it in our mold and see how it does. I'm going to use one of the smaller ones. Or, yeah, one of the small ones. I got a couple there. Alrighty. I'm trying not to cover what I'm doing, so my apologies if I am. I'm just carefully pouring it into the mold. Okay. Squidgy it around. Make sure we get out as many bubbles as we can. All right, looks like we're going to need just a little bit more to really get that up to the top level of the mold. So all I'm just doing is using the spatula to fill this up as much as I can. And the one thing you want to be careful about with these kind of molds is there's points over here in the mold, and almost every single one of these has a air bubble in it. I can see it if you see right here where my thumb is pointing. Hopefully you can see that. So I want to get that air bubble out of there. A nice narrow tip, and I've just been pushing the tip in there and just kind of coercing that bubble to come out, and it's worked really well. I just have one left over here to get out, and they come out pretty easily. So there's a tip for you if you're making this kind of mold. All right. Okay, we do have a little bit of overspill, but that can be cleaned up. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm just checking my mold now to make sure it's got as much resin in it as I want it to have. We could use a little bit more, so I'm just going to put some in here. bit more, I think. A little now, because I want to see how these go. So this is one of our bigger ones. I still have some clear resin over here. I think I'm going to hold on to that for a second. We're going to get some, I think we'll continue to use the resin that we just mixed up with the alcohol ink, but we're going to put some fun little metallic glitter in here. You can see that that's kind of a really pretty blue icy kind of color, and I'm just going to put all of that in there because I don't have very much in this container. We'll mix that up. Oh, I think that's going to be pretty. I don't know if you can see that. Pull some of it out so you can see it. There it is. It's pretty, and I think it's just enough for what I need it to be. So I think we'll go ahead and pour this into this other mold here. Alrighty, so we'll set this one aside. We'll see how this does. Clean up my gloves a little bit because they're a little bit resiny. Alright. And then we'll move on to our next big one, which for this one, we're going to add some iridescent flakes to that. And I think before I do that, I want to take some of my clear resin that I mixed up in this other cup and pour some of it out. So I know we're not going to need all of that, and I don't want to mix up too much. So in this cup, we're going to put our flakes. Sorry for the loud crinkling. My apologies. I'm not doing any measuring here. I'm just pouring them in. Set that off to the side. And we'll get a fresh popsicle stick and mix this up. And I want this to be fairly chunky because I want that glitter to be really, really, really in your face. So that looks nice. Pull our mold over here. And again, we're dealing with the same thing as we did before. All right, I think we have just enough in that mold, and we made just enough resin, or put in just enough resin in there. So let me move some things around here so we have more room. All right, and I think we have one more puffy mold left. We do, and it's that one right there. So this will be our next one and our last one. We have some clear resin left in our 1 cup here, which is going to be more than enough. So I think for this one, we're going to try these really pretty iridescent dark sparkles, just because we have so many that are on the lighter side. Let's try something a little bit darker. And I'm just going to pour these in here. And mix this all up really well. I don't want to leave too many of my glitters behind. No glitter left behind. All right, that looks good. So now we'll put this in our mold. I think that's good. And I think we need just a little bit more resin, which I would expect once you've taken some of those air bubbles out of there. You are going to be left with a little bit of room. And I think we put way too much resin in because now I can no longer see the center. So I'm just going to see if I can take a little of that out. There we go. I want to be able to see this little button in the center, so I know that we haven't overfilled it too much. Just going to take a little bit more out. All right. looks good. Okay, so we filled up all of our molds. They all look good. I'm going to try to figure out what I want to do with that. I might put it in some of these other molds, honestly. Let's try that. Make sure I'm in screen for all of you. These are obviously much easier to do if you haven't done these kind of molds before, or if you haven't watched my other videos. These molds are quite simple. And I think I'm going to do a little bit, something a little bit different here. I'm going to take, this is called Metallic Alcohol Ink Red Copper. Looks like I'm where I want to go. So I shook this up well. And I think I just want to do just a few little drips into the corners like that. And we'll just let it sit and see what happens. When you have that extra resin, it's kind of fun to experiment with things and see what else you can do. This one wasn't quite filled up, and I do have a ring at the top of this one that I want to make sure I get resin into. Make sure it goes everywhere you want it to go. Hopefully you guys are able to see what I'm doing here. I'm trying to make some room. Sorry for my arm. Okay, I've got one left over here. Can you see that okay? Yeah, you can. Okay. This last one here is left over. So I want to do a little quick experiment. I like to wipe my gloves off because I don't want to get resin all over my bottles in my box over here. Let me see here, grass. All right, this is a slightly different color. I know we just had red copper, but this one is purplish red, if you can see that. The last one I didn't really show you, but this one was red copper. Oh, obviously because these are like wells for the resin, it's probably not going to do exactly what I wanted it to do. But let's see. Oh, I just realized I don't have any clear left. Let's try this one. This is the glittery one that we did before. Maybe this will make an interesting pattern. I know you really can't see too much yet. Give me 1 minute. So it's giving me kind of a swirly effect. I think I kind of like that. All right, I think we're going to go with that. Alrighty, well, we are done. I'm going to let these sit, and we'll come back after they're cured, and I'll show you what our outcome is. So stay tuned. Hello everyone, and just like that, we're back. And I have some completed projects to show you here. So we're going to start with the basic ones that I did from the previous mold, and I'm sorry, not even ready here. Got no lights on. Nothing ready to go. All right, let me move this a little closer there. All right, so here's the first one. These cracks were in there when I first poured it. So let's demold this one, see how it turned out. That actually turned out really pretty. See, it has a lot of nice sparkle to it. And I like the little flecks in there. There's the back. All right. So there's number one. So now we'll do this one next. This is the one that I put the same resin, but I put the copper red alcohol ink on the back. Actually, I dripped it into the holes first, I forgot, and then I put the resin in. It's been a couple days since I poured these, so forgive me. And there's that one in all of its sparkly, shiny goodness. So those two turned out really nicely. Okay, now for the fun ones, the ones we haven't seen yet. So this is the first one that we poured. This is with just the alcohol ink in it. There's no flecks of anything. It's just that olive copper, I think it was called, or olive gold, I think it was. So we'll have to pry the sides off here to get it started a little bit. And so that's what that one looks like. Looks good from both sides. There are some edges that we'll have to take off, but those are easy enough to sand off. And there's the hole at the top. I think I over poured the hole a little bit, so we'll have to fix that. So that's not my favorite, I can honestly say that, but it's nice. I like it better against the white. Here's our fun one with all the fun, shifty colors in it. Okay, so there's that mold down. Had a little bit of underpouring here, which is easy enough to fix if you just want to fill in the gap. There's that in all of its beautiful sparkly goodness. I love this one. This is by far my favorite so far. Look how magical that looks. Very nice. Very happy with that one. Alrighty. Here's our next one with the little gold flakes and the olive gold. Okay, there's a little bit of a struggle getting it off, but here it is. We do have a little bit of an air pocket right there, and another one over here. So they are difficult to get out. You can see this one right here. There's one right there. So try and work at it, but now that one's pretty as well. I do like the design of this one. I think it's very pretty, and it's also very sparkly. And here's our last one with the holographic flakes. Hopefully this one won't be as time consuming to get out as the other ones, but we will see. And if it takes too long, then I will fast forward through this. I will always tell you that ahead of time, so if you see me fast forwarding, don't think I don't want to show you. It's just I don't think you want to see me struggle with this. This I will fast forward through. Okay, that was much more difficult than I anticipated, but it sure is pretty. All right, so what are my thoughts overall? So I've got a couple of things I want to talk about really quickly before I let you all go. I like the molds. this one is a humdinger to get out. You really have to pull back on these tabs and not be afraid, because otherwise you'll never get it out. So this one was very, very difficult to get out. I love the quality of it. It's very, very soft and squishy. They're great molds. They really are. I enjoy them quite a bit. And I did very basic things here just so you could see the quality of the molds. I didn't want you to get too distracted by whatever I put inside of them. This is still by far my favorite. It's just because of the glitter that I put in it. So overall, I think the molds are very good quality. Would I recommend them from Amazon? I would. I do like the Let's Resin metallic alcohol inks. I think they're pretty, but I think on their own, if you're just diluting them in the resin, they're going to add a little bit to it, but you're not going to get that shimmer maybe that you're hoping for if you put it directly in the resin. I think if you do something like this, that you're going to get an outstanding result. So if you have something that you're making where the back is going to be your focal point, or I don't even know, I'll have to give it some thought, it'll work really nice on a flat surface like this. So very pretty. I do like the alcohol inks a lot. I've got to find some other uses for them. Molds are great quality. So the last thing I wanted to talk about with these molds is, if you notice, there's a hole right here. And I had no clue until just this second when I picked this up why they would make just a hole going through the middle of the mold. Because what happens is, if you leave it like it is, oh, where is it? You're going to get a little peg coming through there. See how the resin's poking out on both sides here? And you can't stick anything through there. So I'm going to have to drill these in order to get them out. I did not realize. I kept wondering what these little things were. You should be able to peel this out of here. And forgive me if you guys were all screaming at me in the comments. Or at least I think you should be able to. Anyway, I think what these are stoppers to go through that hole, so that you have a hole once the resin is poured. Because each one of these molds has it on it. I think I probably would have to cut it out with some scissors, because it's in there quite well, as you can see, because all of them have the same thing. So you'd probably have to get that out and shove it through here. Why don't we do that on camera to see if it actually works, and see if I actually know what I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm trying to find my craft knife that I just hid. Come here. All right, let's see if we can get this out. Well, it's extremely easy to cut, that I will say. Very easy to get out. With these molds and resin making, sometimes there's a lot of assumptions made that people know how to do this stuff, especially when you buy things on Amazon. So I didn't know this because I've never had a mold like this before. But I imagine that this goes right in here and would go all the way to the back of the mold. And then I check on the inside. Hopefully you can see that right there, that it's going all the way through. So you put that little stopper in there, and then you're going to have yourself a hole. So a very, very smart thing to know, that I wish I had known before I started, but I had no clue. I just saw the hole and assumed I was going to have a hole afterwards, but there was nothing stopping the resin from getting in there. Handy little tip. All right, guys, so that's it for these snowflake molds, for these Christmas ornaments. I hope you liked them. I kept it simple because I just wanted to show you the molds and give you an idea of things that you can do. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you stay safe, sound, and healthy as always. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, whatever you celebrate. And I will catch you in the next video. Thank you, everyone. Bye.